The recovery means that you are looking for a new self, a new meaning, a new identity.
I'm glad that I can talk about my illness at length. I imagine if one can't express what's happening in one's own head, one may have to end one's days in a psychiatric hospital. I mean, you have to interact, you have to know how to listen.
It's been a steady progression of an illness that has taken a long time to get to grips with and learn to live with, but now I can.
Is my life now, at this moment, as far as I'm going to go? No, it isn't. There is still more road to travel, basically. There's still more good things I can do, and there's still ways my soul can grow, you know?
The challenge is to try to have an awareness of that you are mentally ill. That is the major challenge that anyone has. To recognize that you are mentally ill and to confront it. That is the biggest challenge. That leads you, in my opinion, on the road to recovery.
Recovery means so many things to so many people. It's a unique experience. So what are the components of it? It's different things for different people. For me, it's just to have my life back, basically, to do things I want to do with or without symptoms. Recovery is just to live as much as I can, really.
I like the idea of recovering. Didn't like the idea of being trapped in my illness. So I just want well, more and more healed or cured of the illness. And still, I have hopes that my illness will weaken more.
I mean, what is mental illness at the end of the day? It's like something that we all go through. Everyone goes through mental illness. It's just that people are on different intensities and levels of it, and some get lucky and they don't get diagnosed or get landed on medication. But mental illness is something everybody goes through. It's because it's involving situations in life, childhood things, occurrences that each individual goes through, and that's why mental illness is so hard to diagnose, because everyone's such an individual, and their mental illness is unique to themselves with the process of what they've grown up with, what they've done in their life.
Jerome Carson, my psychologist some years ago, used to sit around at my old house just talking with my family and myself about my mental illness. But those meetings are very important, because then my mum and dad were told how this illness works and what it means. So they can be more self-assured about looking after me. No, I'd say family therapy was very good, yeah, it really helped.
I'm having psychotherapy at the moment, but I have to, that is still kind of an ongoing journey, but what I've had previously is CBT, and that kind of that is one amazing tool to have in regards to recovering, because it kind of gives you alternative ways of thinking, of dealing with kind of, painful situations. Another thing that helps with regards to recovery is positive thinking, And if you've been negative for like 30 odd years and you say to somebody, be positive, it's like telling a person to swim, throwing them in the water and telling them to swim. You have to teach them how to do it, and that's what CBT did. Taught me how to kind of think positively.
Recovery is a new concept in mental illness, and it's not widely practiced yet in this country. So we are doing a job trying to develop it from the patient's point of view. And so the therapy is important, that where we express ourselves, where we come to terms with ourselves, and where we can try to rebuild our life for ourselves.
The idea that father and son do not get on, but I do. Me and my father always helping one another. I'll tell him about my symptoms. He reasons with me about them. We try and understand what they're about. Also, he asked me to leave the house. He doesn't let me lounge around on the sofa. I have to get out of the house. I have to do things, which is sensible, of course.
They didn't really know how to support me in the early years, but The last few years they've been really supportive just because we've been more honest with each other. They like the idea I'm totally not ashamed of it and that I speak to the media about my experiences. People, if they had, say, somebody who has schizophrenia in their family, they want to keep it hush-hush, but my family, you know, are totally supportive.
I have been lucky. You know, I have been very lucky that my family have looked after me. My friends have been helpful towards me, even though one says I have a few loose screws, which I can understand.
Mimi, my dog, does. She's basically one of the best things that has ever happened to me. She's given me someone to be responsible for and take care of and love and keep me company, and that's all been therapeutic stuff for me. It's strengthened me and it gets me out walking and things, and she's inspired me a lot over the years, and great company.
My creativity is, you know, is a reason I live such a, you know, happy, kind of intense, fulfilled life, because, you know, my creativity is my bedrock. It's my reason for living. It's kind of the substance and, you know, the purpose of, you know, what my dreams are. You know, almost all my dreams centre around, you know, creativity, like, you know, making films and kind of writing books.
I like poetry. I mean, I've liked poetry even when a young lad. Poetry, for me, is sort of purgative, you know, it purifies. When I write poetry, I actually feel happy and don't hallucinate the whole process of writing poetry. Afterwards, I come back again, of course.
And I've got a book on globalization, you know, which I wrote, which I'm happy with. It got rid of the majority of the political voices, I swear to you. You know, I swear to you. Because I was having bad experiences. And I said to myself, if this comes out right, I'm on the road to recovery. And it came out right, and I'm on the road to recovery.
I'm an artist, I'm a painter. I've always been that. It's just that I happen to be mentally ill as well. And I'm learning ways that my painting and my art, I'm finding ways for it to strengthen me and make me and deal with my illness and keep me stable and well and stimulated and occupied in my mind, positive about myself. And that's why therapeutic activities like the drop-in centres and that kind of thing are very important to everyone that's mentally ill, because if you haven't got anything to do when you're mentally ill, then you're lost.
There wasn't one kind of experience in my childhood that I think affected my mental health. I think it was the whole of my childhood, basically. It was just the kind of day in, day out kind of experience of neglect and abuse, of being kind of, you know, hit and, you know, spat at and verbally abused and emotionally abused and sexually abused. It's just, I think, you know, I just cracked under the strain.
Apart from the female teacher, I had a crush on a female student called Lee. That was equally painful because she didn't want to know me. So that was another setback. Other setbacks was that I was expected to get 3 A-levels, but ended with 1. That was a further setback. I was expected to attend the university, which I didn't, and there was a further setback. So I just got more mucked up.
My cause was, you know, I know my cause. I've learned about my cause. My cause is paranoia, leading to disillusionment with the capitalist life in Britain, and the negativities that surrounded it. And I wasn't positive towards those changes. I didn't act in a proper, rational way, constructing my life. I went negative over it.
Before I got ill, I was an inwards, average teenager, same sort of in teenage insecurities and attitudes towards life and people and things and myself. And I feel that my mental illness was slowly building up inside of me over the years. And at the age of 21, it was time for it to explode and appear, and I ended up in hospital on a 15-year psychiatric journey because of it.
During the period of schizophrenia, heavy schizophrenia, you suffer from the lost years. And so you're trying to get that back again. So you lost your personality, you lost your identity, you lost your meaning. And so you're trying to get it back in your recovery, and that's That's what you're hoping for in recovery, to get those things back.
One of the things which affected the illness was with the television. I heard voices from the screen insisting there had been an alien invasion of the country, of Great Britain. Everyone would have to suffer and die. From that point on, there were many hallucinations associated with this television, and lots of my problem was with the TV and the radio. I put them on and hear impossible broadcasts.
Well, feeling like being on the airwaves permanently, being on TV permanently and things, being watched all the time when I'm having a bath or going to bed or whatever, just permanently having no privacy in my head or in my whole being.
Hallucinations which are horrible. All they go on about is subhumanity, vileness, poisons, people being corrupt and nasty, one's illness being a product of stupidity or intrinsic self-hatred, everyone laughing and laughing and laughing, voices laughing at the back of one's head.
When it's severe, the voices just come at me at 100 miles per hour. You know, it's just voices hitting me, left, right, and center. I just sit there smoking, drinking coffee, and talking to the voices. That could be all day. That could be 2-3 days.
I say in my book, being a human is a ridiculous career. How can you not laugh at yourself? You know, the situations human beings get into. So, you know, when I kind of look back when I was, you know, psychotic and thought I was Jesus and tried to recruit disciples at the supermarket, I'm not embarrassed by it or angry at myself. I just learned to laugh at it because it's funny, you know. One of the things about recovery is learning to live a new life, and so in that way it is a rebirth, and you realise that recovery is a chance to recreate your life, and it's a chance to kind of make your soul and your personality the way you want it to be. You know, you've got a second chance. You know, you've got a new piece of clay you can shape the way you want.
I'm aware that recovery is debatable. I mean, I'm aware that this illness will probably last till old and grey. But it's good to have the hope that medicine will improve and that mental illness can weaken and stop.
The more hope I have about how things will get better, the more I recover. I think those two are so closely connected. There isn't any separating them.
And it's a slow, protracted process, recovery. You know, I had a cold and went away in a week, and I was better. But you know, recovery from schizophrenia is not like that. It's a long, slow, protracted process. And you've got to keep at it. And you've got to keep positive and have hope. Otherwise, you're not going to get there.
I'm working on having a market stall in Greenwich in 5 years' time, being an artist, being a painter, selling my prints and paintings and canvases and photographs and things to the tourists or to anyone who's interested in having a look and maybe buying some, whatever. But trying to develop my own avenues of becoming self-employed, independent and working.
Well, the immediate goal is to be fully recovered from schizophrenia. That is my immediate goal. If that's a dream, then that's a dream that I hold to. To go back to teaching, even though I'm getting short of years now.
I'd like to try and get a job. I'd like to sort of perhaps find a partner, I don't know, you know. Like to be an established author, but that's probably a pipe dream.
I don't think there is any kind of end result, really. I think it's always an onward, evolving journey. And my kind of dream is just to show people who want to recover that it can be done, and to kind of inspire other people. That is something that's quite important to me as well.
This is my poem, The Schizoid Spreading, which won a poetry prize some years ago, and it is derived from Philip Larkin's The Whitsun Weddings. All year inside the sprawled mines that swept for centuries inland, a low and sloping were but were outward kept. Loud skies went by, thoughts straddled the battles and endless voices floating on a cough. A rattle smashed completely, pleasures dipped and died, and now and then the spell of sparks, until the trendless year, now crudely stripped, encroached upon the hospital of stars. At first I didn't notice what a noise the madness made each patient that I stopped at. Time deploys the dints of mental illness like a grave, and the rounds steal towards the groans and skirls I took for porters hissing in their veils, and as I moved each wave seemed to refine just what I saw contorting. Nurses frowned that something killed, doctors assumed the real. Thank you.
How do you feel after reciting that poetry? Does it make you proud?
I hope so.
Okay. Okay, cut.